talking about today?
Bernie, today is a really important episode, and we are going to be talking about business operating systems. And this is a really important topic. If you haven't thought about a business operating system in your business, I would say, Bernie, that a business operating system is the single most important ingredient for growing an effective and generous organization. So if you don't have a business operating system, you need one, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Wow, that's a really bold statement that it's the most important thing for an effective and generous organization. So let me start off with the most obvious question then, Joshua. What is a business operating system?
That's a great question. And it's actually one that it's kind of like one of these things where it's like saying God, like, tell me about God. Well, there's so many different interpretations if I say God that it's like, well, what am I really talking about? And so it's like that with a business operating system. If somebody says business operating system, you could be thinking of 100 different things of what it is. So I'm going to start with a couple of definitions that can be used for a business operating system.
Okay.
One of the most basic definitions of a business operating system would just be the systems and processes that you use at your organization. So a business operating system is how you do what you do. We have a little bit more of a convoluted definition for a business operating system. So if you wanted to get a little bit more granular, a business operating system is a comprehensive model for growing a business that integrates a common language, tools, and measurements.
Okay.
So these are the systems and processes. Another way of saying that is common language, tools, and measurements. I guess the question I would have is, if you run a business, how intentional are you about working on the business while you work in the business? What a business operating system does is it forces you to ask the right questions and then put the right pieces in place so that you know that your organization is on track. So for example, if I go out and I'm a farmer and I have all this great seed that I want to go out and sow into my field, I can just walk around the field and I can just throw seed, over here and over there and then hope it rains. Or I can systematically go and plant row by row. Here's where I'm going to plant my corn. This is how I'm going to set up the system to water the corn. And so some business owners actually run their business like a farmer that just throws seed out all over the place. I show up to work. I've got energy today. I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to, just try and make this work. Other farmers are very intentional. I'm going to plant rows. I'm going to put the seed in the soil at the right time. So having a business operating system is like that farmer who is intentional about the way that they do what they do. Another example might be like an NFL team. So here's a football team. Nobody would, you wouldn't assume that there would be a NFL team that didn't have a playbook. Right. So when you're on offense, these are the plays that we're going to run. We're going to do a play like this. This person goes over here. This person goes over there. When you are on defense, we're going to do a play like this. This person is going to block. This person is going to, cover these different offensive players. So a business operating system is like the playbook for your organization. This is how this is how we do what we are going to do.
So Joshua, what I'm hearing you say then is that everybody has a business operating system.
Yeah.
And some are good and some are maybe not so good. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's exactly right. You can't not have a business operating system.
Yeah.
You can have a good business operating system or a bad business operating system, but you can't not have a business operating system. Like, for example, if you have a business operating system, you would have like templates for how you do meetings. So if I don't have a business operating system, I'm like, we need to meet about the website. But if I have a business operating system, I'm going to say, like at Growability, we have 6 different meeting template styles. So is this a planning meeting? Is this a brainstorm meeting? Is this a check-in meeting? Is this a team meeting? Is this a review meeting? Like, what kind of meeting is it? And then I have a template that's going to make sure that I ask the right questions when I'm in that meeting so that the result of the meeting isn't what you typically get in business, another meeting. Yeah.
So in other words, what you're saying is not like we don't have a template for a standing meeting.
Yeah.
We're
going to have a standing meeting. Everybody stands and then at the end we schedule another meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that so much, Joshua, that because as you know, with every business that we work with, like they're doing something.
Yeah.
It's not always working. So that actually is like my next question. So how do you know if your business operating system is working or not? How do you know if it's good?
Bernie, that's a great question. There's typically 3 things that are evidences that you have a great business operating system. Mm-hmm. Number 1, you have a happy team. Your team knows what they're supposed to do. They're not complaining. They're happy. I get my job. This is what I do. Number 2 is you have a happy customer. Your customer loves your product. Your customer gets their product on time. There's convenience. There's consistency. There's a competitive advantage in the market. I've got a happy customer. And finally, you have a happy wallet. Yeah. So your business is, the bottom line is looking good. You know, there's money in the bank. So if you have a happy team, a happy customer, and a happy wallet, most likely your business operating system works. You know, you're in good shape. If you have trouble in any of these areas, then that's an indicator that you've got to make some tweaks in how you do what you do, and you need to upgrade your business operating system.
Okay. Well, I want to dig into that a little bit more, Joshua. Okay. So what you're saying is I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
I want a happy team. I want a happy customer. I want a happy wallet. How does a business operating system help me do that? Can you like dig into that a little more?
Yeah. So let me share how I started the whole process of creating the business operating system that is awesome. Growability.
Yeah.
So I was traveling all over the world. You know my story. I spent 7 years in 21 countries studying global poverty and working with incredible leaders and looking at effective organizations versus not effective organizations. And I was introduced to 2 kind of business gurus through books. They've both passed away. One of them was Peter Drucker, and the other was Albert Deming. And so Peter Drucker, he's known as the father of modern management. I mean, he worked with IBM and Coca-Cola and GE and Intel. I mean, this is the guy that if you're Intel and you're like, who should we ask about our business process, our business system? Let's call Peter Drucker, and then he comes in.
Well, and nowadays, if you go to business school, you're going to be reading Peter Drucker.
Yeah,
like 100%.
You can't. Yeah. Well, he was like a business prophet. Everything that he said would happen in the next 40 years after he passed away happened. Yeah. And so, you can look to the past to see what the future is going to look like. Peter Drucker was somebody that did that. But when I read Peter Drucker, the thing that I realized just off the bat was, if you are a business leader, you need to teach yourself how to ask the right questions. And you need to continually ask the right questions for your business. And Peter Drucker would simplify, he'd make these very, pithy statements of simplification that are really deep when you look at it. Like, who is your customer? What does your customer value?
Right.
What is your plan? These very basic questions. But I think as a business owner, we get busy and we forget to ask ourselves the right questions. Am I doing the right thing at the right time right now? Is this the right, who is my customer? What is my customer value? What's my business? What's our plan? Those are really important things. So one of the things that a business operating system does is you get on a rhythm of asking yourself the right questions. So Growability, we have our strategic yearly calendar. And every year I'm looking at, okay, what's our vision, mission, value statement? Is this still accurate? What's our budget look like this year? What's our community impact strategy? And then we have a thing called a mission map where you can make sure that your plan for the next 3 years is in good shape. Every quarter, we're going to look at your growability score, your quarterly goals, your quarterly team self-reviews. monthly, you're going to look at your focus priorities, your power habits. We have all these different acronyms and things like that. But the crux of that is, hey, every month, am I asking myself the right questions? Every quarter, am I asking myself the right questions? And this is what people do when they hire a coach. They really just get somebody to ask them the right questions, and not necessarily the things that they want to hear, but the things that they need to hear.
Right.
So that is a big piece to launch a business operating system, is ask the right questions. But the second leader that I learned from was Albert W. Deming. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
I don't know if his name. Right.
I think it's
like Albert. It might be Albert. I don't know. Beautiful, wonderful, brilliant person. And the story of Deming is just incredible, because when you look at World War II and the Oppenheimer movie just comes out, and there's like this, hey, look at the consideration of the bombs and all the things that happened. Well, Japan was bombed. There was nuclear explosions that just fundamentally decimated the economy and the country of Japan. And the business leaders in Japan after the war, they actually worked with this American business trainer, Deming. And that's kind of just crazy in itself.
Yeah.
But Japan went from a completely decimated business society to the #2 superpower of economics in the world. And one of the driving factors behind that was the automotive industry. So Deming came over and he helped Japan with the automotive industry. Now, Japan is a very hierarchical society. So at the top, you have, these are the people and they're in charge. They might not know what they're doing at all, but you don't argue with them because they're at the top. So Deming goes into this society and says, hey, this is a problem. We have all the people at the top that aren't actually doing the work on the shop, making all of the decisions. And Deming says, hey, we've got to put a change here where the guy on the line that's actually putting the car together needs to be informing the decision, where the person on the top of the chain is actually setting budgets and research and development schemes and things like this. So Deming came in and he looked at the industry as a whole. He looked at the market and he's like, why don't you guys all use the same door handles? Because if it's a Nissan or a Honda, nobody cares if the door handle is the same. And you could save, as an industry, you could just save on cost by putting the same door handles together. What Deming did is Deming instituted lines of communication between the people in the top and the people doing the work.
Right.
And if you don't have really good communication with the people that are making the decisions and the people that are doing the work, then your organization isn't going to be able to reach their full potential, because the people doing the work actually have the intelligence that is needed for making decisions. Another thing that Deming instituted was this idea of continual improvement, where no matter what it is that you're doing, there's a way to make it better. Why don't we work to make this thing better? And so when you combine those things, if you're asking the right questions, if you're using tools that enforce a communication between the people at the top and the people doing the work, and if you are continually measuring everything that you do so that you can make it better, then that's what you do when you implement a business operating system. Those are the key elements. I'm not sure if I exactly answered your question, but how do I start? But you start by applying a business operating system.
Right,
if you don't have a
no.
business operating system, you put one in place and start using it.
Well, and I think, and the question at the end of the day is what is that going to do for me? And you just answered that beautifully. I'm going to be able to ask the right questions. I'm going to know what the right measurements are. I'm going to know what the timing is on how my operations are going to work, and to be able to continuously improve that. And I'm going to know how to communicate with my team.
Yeah,
dude. Exactly. Wow. that's a super
That's why
powerful,
they're important. That's why, that's why I was saying, hey, this is probably the #1 thing that every business owner needs so that they can have an effective and generous organization.
Okay. So number one thing that a business owner needs to have an effective and generous organization. Who does this? Who provides business operating systems in the market?
So you want me to tell all of our listening audience who our competitors are on our podcast? This is our podcast, Bernie. This is
actually, I do. I want to know who does this. Like, we're not the only ones, right?
No, there's some really great organizations out there actually that provide business operating systems. Let's see. So EOS is
Traction Guys, right?
Traction Guys. Yeah, that's a good system. There's Scaling Up. There's the 4 Disciplines of Execution, the E-Myth. That was actually one of the first books that I read, 20 years ago. This is like, oh, the E-Myth. Yeah, that was super helpful. And then you have kind of like, I would say maybe more like personality-driven operating systems. Like Donald Miller has got this new thing that he's doing, and Michael Hyatt or Dave Ramsey, the Entree Leadership.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
So yeah, these are kind of people who are offering business operating systems on the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, there's Growability. Growability offers in my opinion, it better be my opinion, the best operating system, the business operating system on the market. Yeah.
Well, why? Why should a business owner listening to this podcast right now choose Growability instead of Donald Miller or Traction or Michael Hyatt? Why should they choose us instead of one of them?
That's a really good question. I think, well, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, the reason why you choose any business operating system is when it actually works. If it doesn't work, then don't use it. Our clients, I think it really depends on what motivates you as a business owner. I'm super passionate about fighting global poverty. Yeah. And I think of business as not just a means to squeeze cash out of a thing, but as a means to live your life and your work in a way that honors God and blesses others. That's why our tag is to create effective and generous organizations.
That's why I'm a part of Growability, is from what you just said right there. That's why I'm here. Yeah, so, yeah, that's important. It's really important.
But if you were to ask the question of what is our competitive advantage, like what is it about Growability that gives us a proper place in the midst of all these other really good business operating systems, I would say that it is the balance that we have between leadership, management, and marketing. Okay. So as I started reading all these business books, I was actually counting them up because I didn't want to tell people that I've read hundreds of business books if I haven't read hundreds of business books. And so, but I have read, actually, it was about 120 different good business books that as I was trying to build the Growability model, and I'm looking at all these things and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the best of the best? Like, what are the best tools? What are how do I build a cohesive model? What I discovered in the market is there's really good books about leadership. There's really good books about change and opportunity and crisis, management, things like that. Then there's really good books about management. So management is about doing things the right way and efficiency and having good meetings and things like that. And then there's really good books about marketing. So this is how I connect with my customer. This is how I tell my story. This is how I use social media. This is how I, do all these things. What I couldn't find in the market, and if I would have found it, I probably wouldn't have spent 12 years and 15,000 hours to build the Growability market, the Growability system, is a toolkit that combines and synergizes all three of those things. So leadership, management, and marketing. There's great systems out there. If maybe you don't need that balance, maybe I just need management help, or I just need leadership help, or I just need marketing help. But even so, I think I see Growability as an organic model, and because I see businesses as more organic. I think there's a tendency in business to see your business like a machine, and I just need a wrench, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to fix this machine, or there's a new part and I'm just going to plug in this part, like marketing. There's the marketing part. Let me just plug in. I'll hire the marketing part, and then all of my marketing woes will be over. But business is a lot more organic. It's like a tree.
Right.
If you've got some rot in your roots, you got to fix that. If your trunk is weak, you got to fix that. If the leaves have disease, you got to fix that. And what you do in one aspect of your organization is going to impact the rest of the organization. Yeah. And the fundamentals in any business, you gotta have leadership, you gotta have management, you gotta have marketing. So I tried to put all of those things together as a complementary whole. I think that's one of our many differentiators of quality in the Growability model.
So good. Well, and here's the thing that I think a lot of business owners will come to the conclusion of is, oh man, that seems like so overwhelming. Like, where do I start? How do I do this? So where does a business owner start in implementing a business operating system in their business, and maybe even specifically the Growability business operating system in their business?
Yeah, I mean, and it goes right back to kind of the Drucker and the Deming question. Like, I'm going to ask the right questions. At Growability, we have a 6-step process. So there's like 6 steps, and then we use the analogy of growing a tree to talk through each of those steps. So the first is to clarify vision. That's like the seed. The second is to prioritize customers. That's like the soil. This is like, I'm looking at the soil. The third is to empower teamwork. That's like the water that you pour into this organization. The fourth is to automate sales. That's like your root system. The fifth is to implement strategy. That's your trunk and your branches that hold all this together. And then finally, there's equipping managers. This is how you really create fruit in your organization. Yeah. So if you want to start thinking about a business operating system, you ask the question, do we have a clarified vision? Are we prioritizing our customers? Have we empowered our team? Are we automating sales? Do we implement our strategy? So a lot of people have a great strategy, or they're really good at implementation, but you have to implement the strategy, right? You got to combine those. And then, are we equipping managers? Do the managers in my organization, there's like the quote that a leader creates followers, but a really good leader creates new leaders. Yeah. Am I equipping the management and my organization to make leaders at my organization? So we have and so the Growability model will have like a toolkit for each one of those sessions. So like clarified vision, we start with your business season, and then we go into a competitor analysis, and then we define your competitive advantages, and then we help to craft your vision, mission, value statements. Then we develop a community impact strategy, and then finally we're going to work on your mission map. And so if you have all of those things, you know, your business season, your competitor advantage, your vision, mission, values, and you have your mission map, then I'm going to say, yeah, you have a clarified vision. Yeah. Your team is going to be benefited by that. Your customers are going to be benefited by that. You're going to be benefited by that. If you don't have all of those things in place, you need them in place so that you can just check that box and move on to the next
so
step.
what we're providing here is like a step-by-step like process for implementing a business operating system, which I would think that would be super relieving. I mean, it is for me. And I would think most business owners would just find a lot of comfort in knowing, oh, like I can just kind of follow this, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, there's no magic formula, but at the same time, it still is like, okay, we need to figure this out. And then before we figure the next thing out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's, we talk about at Growability, we talk about the entrepreneurial lid.
Yes.
And so there's LID. There's 3 things that every business owner faces. The L is lack of knowledge. I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
The I is isolation. I don't want anybody else to know that I don't know what I don't know. And the D is discouragement. I know that I don't know what I don't know. So everybody has a lid. And the big problem is, what do I do right now? Yeah. Like, there's 6,000 things I have to do. I'm distracted already. Right. How do I put all these things in a way that I know what to do right now? And so walking through the 6-step process always gives you something to do. Okay.
So good.
I'm going to start here. Then I'm going to go here. Then I'm going to go here. Then I'm going to go here.
Yeah. So good. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask the question that maybe anybody listening right now might be asking. So this can't be free.
Yeah.
How much does this cost? Like, what's it going to cost me to implement a business operating system in my business?
Yeah. So, I mean, that really depends on how much of a DIY, do-it-yourself person you are. Mm-hmm. So if you are a DIY person, create your own business operating system. Go read a bunch of books. If you listen to the Growability podcast long enough, you'll be able to have a lot of tools to build a business operating system. Mm-hmm. Organizations like EOS and Scaling Up and things like that, to fully implement the system, it's going to be multiple thousands of dollars. If there's depending on the size of your organization, you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to put the operating system into every aspect of the business. At Growability, I want to kind of take over the market. So I've got we're the price leader. We beat everybody out on price. So for each of the 6 steps in Growability, we charge $300 to have the toolkit. Mm-hmm. And you get a 1-hour coaching session with each of that toolkit. So you can talk with a coach about any one of the steps in the toolkit. You can get the entire toolkit for $1,500 if you buy it all at once. So that's just the tools. That's like, I can have a jackhammer, but not know how to turn it on. It's going to be great at breaking up the soil, but I might have somebody to teach me. So at Growability, we charge $500 a month to coach people how to use the operating system. Now, we also are a fan of our leadership training that we call a collaborative, where leaders in any community or on Zoom will get together and go through the 6 steps of the Growability model over a year. Mm-hmm. And so that's $350 a month, where you meet twice a month with different leaders in your community, and you learn about growing your business while kind of growing your business in community and development with other leaders. And then we have like our consultation, where we'll actually come in and kind of become part of your team for 3 to 6 months. We charge $5,000 a month to do that. That's it's but the cost of not having a business operating system, look at the business statistics. Like, look at what is happening on the market, where you've got like a more than 50% fail rate. It's because people think that effort is going to give them success. But you can work hard doing the wrong thing, or you can work hard doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. Neither of those things are going to bring you success. Right. I'm not young anymore. In my 20s, I was like, I want to learn everything myself. I don't want to learn from somebody else's stupid tax. I want to have my own stupid tax. I want to figure all this out. I don't reckon. Now I'm old or older. And I was going to say,
you paid stupid tax on that, didn't you?
I paid a lot of stupid tax on that. So now I'm like, oh, I can pay to actually accelerate this process and have, learn from other people.
I mean, there's no easy button, but if there was an easy button, this seems like it would be as close as you're going to get to an easy button,
No, I was thinking about that this morning. It's like, we are fundamentally shaped by the people we hang out with and the books that we read.
Yep.
And I think we get to choose how we're going to develop and who we're going to develop with. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's business owners, business leaders get this bad rap. Like they're like, oh, you're just a money hungry jerk. I don't know I haven't experienced that. What I find in business owners is a ton of people trying to do their best to make a positive impact in the world. Yeah. And I'm one of them. And I need community. I need support. I need wisdom. I need tools. And so our whole vision is, hey, let's connect with other leaders, other business owners, and just let's grow together. It's Growability.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just we're getting close to running out of time here today, Joshua. But I want to ask you one more question then along those lines. What you just said. Where do you see growth and growability in this space of business operating systems? And I just kind of take a step further of everything you just said and tell us where you see the growth of growability in this space.
I am not an individual who is short on vision. Growability, I believe that Growability will become the #1 business operating system in the world. I think that I know that's sort of an audacious statement, but there's some keys to that. I want to be the most generous business operating system in the world. I want to be the most encouraging business operating system in the world. And I think if those two things are true, that we'll be able to do that. So in my 20-year vision, we part of our mission map, I want to make sure that there is a representative of Growability in every major city in the world.
Yeah.
And that we've trained at least 100,000 really exceptional business leaders. And then we have the best online toolkit where people can come in and download tools and work together and develop community. And no business owner is walking in a lid. That there's no lack of knowledge. There's no isolation. There's discouraged. Everybody has an option where they can overcome that lid and grow community. So that's my hey, that's where I'm sowing. I don't know if I'll reap all of that, but that's where the you don't reap what you think, you reap what you sow. And that's where we're sowing.
I mean, and it's one of those things that we sow, and sometimes it's people down the road from us that reap, but we sowed, and that's why.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I think that's important. So, well, Joshua, that's all the time we have for today. Do you have anything you want to leave us with? Closing remarks?
If you don't have a business operating system, please find a business operating system, research the market, find a toolkit that works for you. Another closing remark I would say is that using Growability is a lot of fun, and Growability has the best business coaches in the world, i.e. Bernie Anderson and Austin and all the Growability coaches. Yeah. That's all. That's it.
I love it. Well, with that, we want to remind everyone that you are doing better than you think and you have more potential than you know. Thanks for growing with Growability. I want to make sure to remind you to please like and subscribe to our podcast, the YouTube channels, and share this with people that you really like. We'll see you next week.